exception will be arised from a different sets of user. Then based on a request, problem statement will be formed. So once the problem statement is formed, then we are trying to build the models. To build this model, we need to have a different experiences. How do we get the different experiences? One from the user interview, domain knowledge, real world experience, or similar system. By using all these things, we are trying to develop a different models. Either it can be a class model, state model, or a interaction model. Next, we have a domain class model. In a domain class model, so for construction of a it is a process that how do we construct the class model, state model, and a interaction model based on a different experiences. So that is what we are going to learn in this chapter. So the first thing is we need to develop a class model or construct a class model. To construct this class model, what are the steps that are required? So the first thing is we need to analyze the requirements. So how do we analyze the requirement? Based on our experience, based on a interview, we are meeting a different stakeholders. So from the different stakeholders, we are gathering all the requirements. So once the requirement is gathered, then what we need to do, we need to design a static structure. As you know that the class model is a static structure, right? Or you call it as a static model. So that static structure will be developed based on a real world experiences, and later it can be brought as a working model or workable pieces. To analyze the class model, for what we need to do, we are taking different classes, we are developing all these structures, and we need to create a relationship between each and every class, so which gives you the complete system or complete domain model. So later, after developing a class model, we have a state model that will be presided with the class model and the interaction model. So we are identifying how better application can be developed based on a class model, and the state model indicates that how the system is going to take a different states with respect to the object, with respect to the external stimuli. Then the interaction model will tell us that how the objects are interacting, how the system is going to behave with respect to the external environment. So these things we are going to study based on a class model. To construct a class model, we need to have steps. So how do we construct a class model? So you may get a question here like this. Describe the steps to construct a class model. Okay, so that is how the question can be given in your external examination. There are various steps to construct a class model. So the first step is whatever the system or problem statement that we have defined. So for that particular class, what we need to do, we need to define, we need to find the classes.
Ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am.
Tell me, Akash.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but some people are waiting outside, ma'am. They're
I have allowed. It's okay. I just checked. Okay, so the first thing is we need to find the class. That means, say for example, we have taken a class, we have taken a ATM case study as an example with respect to the ATM problem domain. So what are the different classes are required? We need to find out the different classes. Next thing is prepare a data dictionary. What do you mean by data dictionary? You have come across the data dictionary in your DBMS, right? Have you heard about data dictionary? Sunil? So the next thing is we need to prepare a data dictionary, then find the association. So after finding the association, we need to, just a second. Okay, we need to organize and simplify the classes using the inheritance. So when we have developed a class model, we have come across various concepts, right? Like generalization, association, aggregation, composition, right? We can use all this concept to bring to simplify the system. And next thing is verify that access path exists for likely queries. That means what? We have come across a navigation of a class, right? So how do we navigate or how do we traverse along the classes? So that has to be organized. So when you're trying, when we have defined a class model, so it should have a connectivity that particular class can be accessible to one of the path. In that way, we need to frame a class model. Next is iterate and refine the model. That means we need to, once the requirement has been collected and once we have done all these things, developed the static structure, again we may require a refinement in a model. So how do we make a refinement in a model? So we need to identify what are the irrelevant classes which are not useful, what are the attributes which are not useful, and similarly the methods, whatever the operations that we are trying to that we have put up in a class model, that we need to refine in a proper way. Next thing is reconsider the level of abstraction. So we might have used abstraction, so where we are hiding the internal details. So that has to be refined once again when you have refined the entire model. Next thing is group the classes into the packages. So the one way that how you can simplify the class model is by using the packages. So in a packages, what we can have, so the packages consists of a group of classes, generalization, association, everything. So if you want to have a one model with another model, so one of the model can be declared as a package where it consists of all this particular classes. So in that way, we can simplify the domain model. So here we go with the complete step by step. So whatever the steps I have mentioned here, so we shall go in detail that how do we find the classes. Okay. So here comes the first steps, that how do we find the classes. So to find the classes, what we need to do, we need to identify in which application domain that we are working. Okay, which is the application domain. Say for example, if it is a e-commerce domain, so what are the different classes that are required? So to identify those classes, we need to identify the physical entities in terms of objects. So either it can be a houses, or it can be a person, machine, or any other thing that we can consider. So or it can be a payment schedule. So I had taken an example of a e-commerce. If you take a e-commerce system, so there you will get a different classes. So one is a customer, one is a e-commerce system, right? One is a payment. So these are the different classes that you are trying to identify. That means you are, when once you have defined an application domain, you need to put up a brainstorming. By using a brainstorming, you need to list all the classes. So how do you list all the classes? The classes corresponds to nouns. That means I said when we are using a name, when we want to declare a class, so that class should be always in terms of a nouns. Here is a method that how we are going to extract the class names. So the first thing is requirement sources. So we have already gathered all the requirements. So from the requirements, we need to extract all the nouns. We need to identify what are the nouns are there in a requirements. So from that nouns, you need to list these are the different tentative classes. And next, after listing all the classes, you need to eliminate the spurious classes. So whichever the irrelevant classes are there, which you cannot treat it as a class names, that you need to eliminate. So once you have eliminated those things, then you will get the actual class. So this is how you are trying to prepare a list of classes. So once the list of classes has been done, okay, so this is an example. We had taken a case study of an ATM class. For ATM, how you can extract a different classes with respect to the norms. So here are some list of class names. So one is a software, banking software, cashier, account data, bank computer, central computer. So here in this slide, so I have shown all the different names of a class where we have not eliminated any spurious classes. Okay, so we have a receipt, record keeping, provision, security, customer, bank consortium, system, cost, cash, access. So like this, we are trying, whatever the application that we have taken with respect to that application, you need to list all the names of our classes. So once you have listed the class, so the next thing is we need to identify the problem domain. So based on a problem domain, we are taking it as a either it can be a communication line or it can be a transaction line. So based on that, we are trying to identify the classes. So once the classes has been identified, so the next thing is we need to keep the right classes. That means how in our previous slide we have seen the list of classes. So out of those list of classes, we are classifying the names of the classes as good classes and a bad classes. So how do we identify? So the classes can be classified as a vague class, redundant class, attribute, implementation, and one more is irrelevant classes. So here what we have, when you take the class has a vague classes. So if you take a system provision, to what extent you are providing the system to what extent you are providing the security. If you say it has a system, so what kind of system? Again, there is a, when you say a system, it means a different types of system. Okay, next thing is record keeping provision. So what is this record keeping provision? Whether only the transaction that has been done through the ATM, only withdrawal, only the mini statement. So in what way we are trying to identify. Next thing is banking network. So when you say a banking network, all the banks has their own servers, and later those can be connected to the central server, right? So whether you are referring to the central server or a particular bank server, that we need to specify. So when you take this, vague classes indicates it is a too large. You need to when you are developing an application, you need to narrow down your problem statement, but not expand the state. You should not make it as a broad statement. Okay, so you cannot consider these names as a class name. Next thing is receipt, cash, amount data, and transaction. So these are considered as a attributes, right? So when you make any transaction in a bank or any shop, you'll get a receipt. How do you make a transaction? The transaction is an attribute. So either you can make a payment or you can make a withdrawal. So that is the transaction. So those things will be considered as an attribute but not a class. Next thing is redundant. So you cannot use it as a user. User can be anyone, right? Even the bank people who are working in a bank, they are also user, right? So you need to identify whether it is a bank managers or bank customers, that has to be taken care. So if you are just giving it as a user, so user can be anyone who are trying to utilize the entire system. So that is a redundant class that cannot be used. Next is irrelevant, that is cost. Cost will be referred for a particular product, right? Say for example, if you are trying to purchase any goods, okay, so you will inquire what is the price or what is the cost of that particular goods. So you cannot take that cost as a word or a name of a class, so which is irrelevant to the particular application. Next thing is implementation. So you cannot take the name of a class as a software. So to develop that particular application, you need to help. You need a help of a software. You need to have a platform. So the software, access, communication, so transaction log. So all these things will be taken in terms of a implementation. So these cannot be considered as a names of a class. So now, how do you define what is a good class? What are the classes that you can take? So one is a account, ATM, bank, bank computer, cash card. Okay, and cashier station, central computer, customer. So these are some of the examples of a good class that
Ma'am.
how you can manage a particular application.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, allow the students, ma'am. They are waiting outside.
Okay. Okay, next we have come across a different types of classes, right? Redundant classes. So how do we take a redundant classes? Say for example, it can be a flight and a passenger. Although it can be a more descriptive, you cannot take it as a customer and a passenger. Both customer and passenger relates to the same thing. Similarly, with respect to the irrelevant classes, whatever say I had taken an example of a cost. So cost is a irrelevant which is not which does not belong to the 18 class, that is it is out of the scope, so you cannot consider that as a name of a classes. Then how do you consider it as a way classes? So if it is available, or if whatever that tentative class names that we have defined, so if it is not within a boundary, or if it is too broad with which is out of the scope, such as record keeping, security provision. So when you come across a security, so you can have a end-to-end security. So for transaction security, for whatever the transaction that a customer is providing or making, for that you can have a security. So the security is a broad term, it is a vague term that you cannot take it as a name of a class. Next is the attributes. So the account data, all these things will become a name of a class. Next thing is operations. So whatever the operations or the roles that we are going to have, so that you cannot take it as a name of a class. Say for example, if you are taking a you have a item and you are a owner of that item, so you cannot take owner has a name of a class. So there you need to have a concentration that how you are trying to list out all the classes. And next thing is implementation constructs. So when we are trying to implement a particular application with respect to the class model, so what we need to do, we need to identify whether it is in a form of a subroutine or whether it is a process. So you need to identify the name of a class in such a way that it should not be taken as an implementation construct. Say for example, the transaction log, access. So all these terms are taken in perspective of a implementation. So you cannot take those names as a list of classes. Next is a derived class. So when we are going to consider we can use the concept of generalization. So if one class can be derived from another class, it is a form of when it is in a form of a generalization, so those classes has to be eliminated. So this is how you need to keep the right classes. So next thing is preparing a data dictionary. So what is this data dictionary? So we are going to have a modeling of elements. So we are trying to identify what are the we have identified what are the different names of the classes. So once the list of classes are prepared, so for connecting all these classes, we need to prepare a data dictionary where we are where each and every class has a descriptions, and we are using based on a current problems, and we are having some assumptions and restrictions. So those restrictions and assumptions can be provided through the data dictionary. Okay, say for example, if you are taking an account has a data account, so account, ATM, bank, cash card, cash, so all these things belong to a particular ATM class. So what are these words describe, or these elements or model elements are going to describe? So when you say an account, so that account relates to the particular customer. So where a customer can have either a current account or a savings account, and he is going to perform a transaction based on the account that he has that a customer has opened. Next thing is ATM. So when you say a ATM, it is a station where a customer can make his own transaction.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, allow the students, ma'am. They are waiting.
Okay. Okay. Next is a ATM. If you take ATM as a modeling element, so what does the ATM? What is the major work, or what is the participation of an ATM station with respect to a application? So it is a station where a customer can perform his own transaction. So to perform the his own transaction, what the customer has to do? He need to have a card. Through the identification or through the validation of the card, what happens? The customer can make a processing of a system. Next thing is a bank. When we are using the bank has a modeling element. So it is a financial institution which holds all the customer accounts. So where the customer will be provided to make a deposit, to withdraw the cash, or to make a any other transaction. Next is a cash card. So cash card is nothing but your debit card or a credit card. So where the customer uses this card to make a transaction through the ATM. So these are some list of examples that we are taking. It has a modeling element. So there are few more that I have not considered. Okay, that you can go with your books. Next is a finding the association. We have constructed a class model. We have identified the model elements. Okay, now we need to create a relationship among the classes. So how do we create a relationship among the classes? We need to find a association for which class has been related. So it is a structural relationship between two or more classes. So you can a class can be connected to two or more classes. So it is not the thing that it should be a one-to-one connectivity. The same class can be connected with two or more classes, which refers to another class for some other purposes. Here what happens when we are trying to use an association with respect to the relationship between the classes? It depends upon the attributes. It depends dependencies, or it can be a communication, how the communication is going to happen. So to do that, what we are using to relate between two different classes, we are using the terms as a verb, right? So it can be like physical location. The verbs can be like physical location, next to, part of, containing. These are the examples. Okay. Next, if you are taking the association in terms of a communication, so it can be like a talks to. Next, if it is a ownership, say we have a user and there are different files that are available. So whatever the files that are stored in a system, so these files can be generated by a particular user, and that user can be a owner. Or if say if there is a mobile, and for that mobile has a owner. Okay, so we are trying to identify with respect to the ownership. Next thing is satisfaction condition. So works for managers. So works for, we have seen in an example of a person has a class and company has a class, where person works for a particular company. So that is a relationship. That means whatever the association that we are going to provide with two or more classes, all this association will be related based on a verbs. That is, we need to use the phrases as a verbs. Next, how do we keep the right association? That means once we have developed the model, I said we are trying to refine, right? So when we are trying to refine the model, or when we have created an association, sometimes some association may be irrelevant. So how do we do that? We need to identify the association between the eliminated classes. So we have listed all the classes and we have taken an association, whatever the eliminated classes are there. So for that eliminated classes, we should also eliminate the association, and once again we need to restate the classes in terms of classes in other terms of classes. That means we need to try to relate with the other classes. So how do we do that? Here is an example. We can eliminate the banking network. Banking network is a class which includes a cashier station and a ATM. So what the ATM will do? ATM will dispense a cash and ATM will print the receipt. So we have a receipt as a class and we have a cash as a class. So those two classes we are trying to eliminate. And record keeping and system security is another class. So once we have connected all these classes, so if we are trying to eliminate the record keeping and security provision, if we are eliminating those associations should be eliminated from a class model. If you are keeping the association for those classes from the other classes, then it becomes irrelevant. That means you need to identify in a simple way. We can describe like this. So whichever the classes that has been eliminated, so those classes has to be eliminated with respect to the association also. Next is irrelevant or a implementation of a association. If any classes or any association that we have specified outside the problem domain or outside the domain, outside the application, so those things has to be eliminated, or we are going to consider it as a irrelevant classes. Next, we have actions. So how do we take the action once we have developed a domain model? So here what we are using, we have already constructed an association which gives an entire application domain, but not a event. So we have not performed any event or any transaction has not been performed. So for that, what type of actions that we are trying to describe? So one thing is we are describing that entire ATM model. So it is going to accept the cash card. The cash card word describes as a debit card or a debit card. Okay, so that is nothing but your cash card. So by using the cash card, there is an interaction between a customer and a ATM, and it is not a long relationship between. It is not a permanent relationship between a ATM and a cash card. So only when a customer requires an amount, when he want to make a transaction at that particular time, at that particular point of time, there is a relationship between a ATM and a cash card. So once the transaction gets over, there will be no relationship There will be no relationship between a ATM and a cash card. Next thing is ternary association. So when we say a ternary association, an association can be more than two classes, right? So I said different types of association. It can be a binary association, it can be a ternary association. So when it is more than two or more classes, then what we are using? We are using a n-array association to join a different classes. So what about a binary association? So binary association is a term where we are going to consider only the association between any two classes, two classes. Then what about a qualified association? We are using a attribute as a qualifier. So by using a qualified attribute, we are trying to describe the association between the classes. So that is how we are going to consider. So here what happens? A company pays a salary to the person and can be rephrased as a binary association. So we have seen a person and a company. So the person is going to work for a particular company. For what is the reason? He needs to get a salary. For salary purpose, the person is going to work in a company. So the salary can be a qualified attribute, or it can play as a qualifier, and it can be associated between a person and a company class. So that has to be taken care. Next thing is derived association. Okay, so in a derived association, what we are identifying, we can identify. We are trying to take a association with respect to two or more different classes. So here we can take a grandparent of can be taken in terms of a pair of a parents association. Say a company employs a person, one company employs more people. Okay, so this, when a company is employs a person, he need to have a working materials. He need to have some working materials. So if it is a software company, the company has to provide a laptop or a desktop to work, right? So one company owns a n number of multiple computers, and all these multiple computers can be assigned to one or more people. That means what? This computer is a child class. Okay, so where this association owns and assigned to. So these are the parent association of the owns and assigned to are the child association of employees. That means when a company employee is a association between a company and a person. So company owns a computer is a association. Owns is a association that is being given from company to person. So if you are looking in terms of a derived association, so assigned to is a derived association from a owns. Why? Because whatever the computers that are owned by the company, so that will be given to a one or more person. So this assigned to will become a is derived from a owns association. So next, to identify what are the association which are missing. So we need to understand the domain perspective. So with respect to the domain perspective, we need to identify which are irrelevant association. Those irrelevant or misunderstanding of association has to be eliminated. Next thing is association end names. So the association end name should be appropriate. Whatever the association that you are giving with respect to the class. So each and every association has its own name. So that has to be taken care. Next is a qualified association. As I said, we are using a qualifier has an attribute. So with respect to a bank, what we can have a bank code has a qualified association with respect to the bank code. So the bank central bank network can be updated, or the cashier is going to update the system. So in such a way that we can use a system. Next, we are using a multiplicity. What is the reason of using a multiplicity? What is the purpose? What's the purpose of using multiplicity? So we need to indicate what is the number of participation, or how many number of instances are participating. So we need to use this multiplicity in a right way. Next thing is missing association. Say you have developed a class model. So when we have developed a class model, between any two classes or between the classes, an association can be missed. We need to identify. So how do we identify the missing association? So based on the navigation among the classes. So when you are trying to navigate among the classes, you can when you are traversing among the classes, you can identify the missing association. Say for example, transaction entered on a cashier station, but the customers may not be related. So in that case, the transaction, the customer and the cashier station, there can be a missing association that has to be identified. Next thing is aggregation. So what is this aggregation? When we are trying to use a aggregation, it is a combination, or we are trying to indicate, we are trying to combine our different parts to look it has a one complete product or one complete object. There we are using the concept of aggregation. So when we say a consortium, okay, so the consortium is nothing but it is a combination of all the different banks, and we are trying to have a relationship among all these banks, or a banking concept with respect to the aggregation. Are you able to see the diagram? Can you see the diagram?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here we have a bank consortium. Okay. So the bank consortium has a qualified attribute, bank code, and this bank code is composed, or it consists of a different banks. Okay. Next, from the bank, what we have a different classes. So this account is an interface for a bank. It plays as an interface for a cash card, and it has an interface for a customer. Now what happens? The central computer owns all the bank consortium. So whatever the banking networks are there, all the bank will be combined together as a consortium. So how the consortium will be framed? By using a bank code. Each and every branch has its own code. So based on a codes, all the bank will be combined, and all this consortium will be connected to the central computer. So from the central computer, what we are using a ATM. So where ATM is a place as where the ATM is a interface for all the different banks consortium. Okay, so this this ATM is going to communicate with the central computer. So whatever the transactions that a customer is performing, so all these ATM transactions will be entered on a remote transaction, where remote transaction will play as an interface, and this for making a remote transaction, we need to have a one medium. So what is that medium? By using a cash card. So all this cash card will be authorized by the remote transaction. So this cash card will be taken as an interface by the customer. So the customer has a cash card, and the customer has an account. So this account can be accessed by using a cash card, and the same account can be taken, can be concerned with respect to the transaction. That means a customer is using a cash card, so the cash card will be used in an ATM station. So that ATM whatever the transaction that he is performing using on a ATM station will be considered as a remote transaction. Okay, so once the remote transaction is being performed, so next what happens? That has to be communicated with the bank computer. That means, so in which bank, in which branch that a customer is having an account, in that particular branch, and with respect to his account, the details has to be updated. So how it will be updated? So by using a central computer. So this central computer will communicate with the bank computer. So later this bank computer will communicate with the cashier station. So this cashier station is connected, will be owned by a bank. That means, so whatever the cashier station is there, so this cashier station will be owned by a particular bank, and to enter all the details, this bank is going to employ the cashier. So what the cashier will do? The cashier is going to enter all the cashier transaction in all the transaction will be entered in a cashier station. So this is how the entire ATM is going to work. Any doubts? Any doubts in a diagram? Shall I move on? Yes, next thing is we need to find the attributes. How do we find the attributes? So we have listed all the names of our classes. We have created a static structure. We have entered all the models. Next thing is how do we add the attributes for each and every classes. So whatever the attributes that we are trying to add with respect to your class model, so we have already declared a class as a nonce. So it should be like a possessive phrases of a class. Say for example, if you are taking a car as a class, so what could be the attribute of a car? What are the properties of that particular class? So either the car can have a color, right? So the car has a model, year of manufacturing. So all these things are the phrases which are relevant to which describes a car. So similarly, we need to identify what does, when we have declared our classes, so what are the relevant attributes that has to be added to that particular class. So how do we do that? Next thing is it comes for keeping the right attributes. So we need to have a description, or we need to differentiate between the attributes and the objects. So that is the first thing. And next thing is we need to identify which can be treated as a qualifier. So what could be a proper name that can be given for attributes? What are the different types of identifiers? So whether the attributes, whatever the attributes that we are considering, it should not overlap with an association. So in association, we are taking it as a verbal phrases, right? So those attributes cannot be taken as a, those association cannot be taken as a attributes. Next thing is internal values and fine details, discordant attributes, and a Boolean attributes. You cannot take the attributes like yes or no. So those are treated as a Boolean attributes. Okay, so here is an ATM example. What in a previous diagram we had not considered any qualifier. We have not considered any attributes. So just a simple classes, we have listed our classes, we have created an association among the classes. So the next step is we need, once the association and the classes has been considered, has been framed, next thing is we need to add the attributes. So how do we add the attributes? So the attribute can also be a qualifier, that is the qualified attribute. Now you can see here the bank, we have a class called as a consortium. So for this consortium, we are taking a bank code as a qualified attribute. So one bank code can be considered for 0 to 1 bank. That means one bank has one unique code. Next, this bank has a card code. So whatever the cash card that a customer is going to get, so it also includes a bank code. And this bank has a name, has an attribute. So for this name, for this bank, we have some other qualified attribute such as a station code, an employee code, and an account code. So this account code, one account code belongs to 0 to 1 account. So where this account class has a different attributes, that is a balance, credit limit, and a type. That means the customer has to maintain a minimum balance. So maximum account, maximum credit limit. So he cannot have a too much of credits in his account, and the type of an account. So whether the customer has opened a current account or a savings account, so that belongs to the type. So one customer can have n number of accounts. That means the same customer can have a savings account, he can have a current account, he can have a RD account, he can have a fixed deposit. So there can be a different transaction that a customer can perform in a bank. Okay, so the same in a when it comes for a customer class, the customer should have a name and a address. So these are the two things in a customer class. So one customer can have n number of cash cards. Okay, so this cash card can be activated, or to make a transaction with the help of a cash card, what the customer needs, he need to have a password. So it acts as a security. That means one customer can have 0 to 1 cash card. Next, this account, many accounts has many cash cards. So with reference to the bank, we are talking about, so there can be many accounts, there can be many customer. Okay, so all this customer has a different account. So when there are n number of accounts that are maintained in a bank, so there can be n number of cash cards generated for a n number of accounts. So that is the reason here we have multiple accounts with respect to a multiple cash card. Then what we have, you can see here, one account can have n number of transactions. Say for example, if I am a customer of a bank, say I can make n number of transactions using the cash card. So either I can use the same debit card in a provision stores. Okay, I can use it in a ATM machine. Okay, I can use in some other shop. So the same multiple transactions can be done by using a cash card. Next, the one account refers to many cashier transactions. So when you say a cashier transaction, so this cashier transaction has a kind, date, time, and amount. That means when the transaction has been made, so what type of transaction has been made. So that details has to be maintained. Next, we have seen a central computer. This central computer communicates with the ATM station. Okay, so this central computer has a station code and has a bank code. So when a customer is making a transaction with respect to an with respect to the particular ATM station, so it will be referred to the station code, and with respect to that station code, it will refer a bank code, and through that bank code, it will go to the bank computer. Okay, so here what the bank computer will do, so that bank computer will later with the help of a station code, it will communicates with the cashier station. So later one or more cashier station will be entered with respect to the bank station. Since the bank employs the cashier has a name, and that particular cashier is going to enter the cashier transaction. Whatever the customer is making a transaction, all the transaction will be entered by the cashier, on which day, how much amount that the customer has made the transaction. All the details will be updated. So next, when it comes for a remote transaction, so that remote transaction will be performed based on a based on the date and time. So all these remote details will be remote transaction details will be gathered with the help of a account where that particular account belongs to a particular bank. So that is how we are trying to analyze the ATM class model along with the attributes. Any doubt? Any doubt? Yes, you can enter your attendance there, USN, last 2-digit number. If it is TD, make it as TD MCA.